that to fit in here.
Each of these journals have 4 paper signatures inside, so I just try to pre-fold my paper ahead of time so when the time comes I can just start assembling them, and they're all done inside the leather with what's called a long stitch. So it goes fairly fast once you have your paper in order and stuff. So, and I like this style a lot because it stays nice and flat when you're writing, as opposed to, this is a cute one, I've done these forever, but this is done with a leather lace, and you have to kind of hang on to your paper, you know, to write, and I always think it's really hard for a left-handed person maybe to use that one. So this is kind of my favorite for that reason, is everything stays nice and flat.
I'm making a pair of boys' pull-on pants, and we make a self-tie to go with it. The pants are done. I did the hemming on those, but I have to make a self-tie. Because back in the day you don't use anything but that. A lot of times they'll use a piece of rope. But these probably are going to be a little fancier because they have a tie on them. And it's not too hard to make as long as your sewing machine works.
And that's called a French seam, right? A rolled seam?
Yeah, it's a rolled seam, yeah. Kind of roll it into itself. It stitches pretty well, so it's ready to go when you're done with it.
It's an old reconverted machine, right?
It used to be an electric machine, and it's a Singer. And the gentleman I bought it from had converted it into a hand crank, so you can use it anywhere. You don't need electricity. And that works for me because I'm out in the wild with it.
Okay, I'm doing tanning, and what I'm working with is I'm doing an acid-based tan. There's 2 types of tanning, acid-based and alkali-based, and you would do an acid-based if you want to keep the fur on. And so I have a groundhog here, and he's been soaking in a pickle, which is a little acid and salt. And I'm removing the inside layer of skin, which is where the blood vessels, a little bit of muscle, and some fat are. And I have to remove that because that isn't going to keep. I won't be able to preserve that. So I'll take that off, and then when I'm done, I'm going to put this back into a pickle. Could be a good brown swamp. I'm using something a little more modern, but alum has been used with a lot of things, and for a long time. So after it's been pickled, I'll take that out, I'll wash it all out, and then I'm going to take and I have to soften it. And you've heard of brain tanning, and the brain is mostly made of fat. So you would take that brain and you would mush it up and you would put that on.
The finished product is what?
And when you're all done, you're going to end up with a tanned hide. So
Beautiful.
there you go.
Right.
Okay, go ahead. Tell me about that piece.
This is a pre-Columbian pipe. Came out of a museum in Nova Scotia. And we know it's pre-Columbian because of the color of the clay. The color of the clay changed after about 1100. They started making them in a darker gray color. So we know that this piece here was at least 1100s. And the type of pipe, it has a stem. And of course, the stem being wood is not an original stem because they don't last that long. But the pipe goes together, and the natives will use this for different ceremonies and things because up in Nova Scotia, they didn't have the red catlinite pipe to make pipes out of. They used this gray clay. As they made the pipe, it was formed by taking a pointed stick, pushing in, forming the clay around it, and then taking a larger stick with a point, pushing it down and forming the clay around it to form the bowl. Then it would be taken and baked, not in the fire, but off to the side of the fire where the ground is hot, so that it could bake the clay. After it was done, they would pull it out, pull the sticks out, then they would put their kinnikinnick, which is a blend of herbs for smoking, and they would smoke the pipe. As the pipe got older, some of the chemicals from when you burn things, you get all different kinds of chemicals out of it. They would start leaching into the pipe and changing its color a little bit. But yes, this pipe is from at least the 1100s and possibly earlier, so it is a pre-Columbian pipe. And what a lot of people don't understand is that when you say pre-Columbian, you mean before Columbus came to the New World. Where a lot of people think Columbus discovered America, he never stepped foot on America. He was down in the Caribbean islands. He never stepped foot on Florida or South Carolina, anywhere along there. But before Columbus came over, that's what they mean by pre-Columbian art.